these guys, after accusing me of misinformation, are waging war against our old friend Tylenol. That cute little caplet we've known and eaten for years is now public enemy number one. The president and the croakiest Kennedy are telling us not to take Tylenol, which is confusing between the new rules for that and vaccines and who knows what else is next, maybe Flintstones vitamins.
Trump brought Elon Musk to the White House. They bring a Tesla, and Trump's like, I'm buying a Tesla with my own money, and
which nobody believes.
And the man did a full-on infomercial. I'm like, this is the president of the United States.
Yep.
Shilling cars for this low price, one-time offer. You can buy a Tesla if you call now, and for this short time, limited period.
Trump's most recent term as president isn't particularly dramatic. It's a sitcom that was accidentally written and chaotically directed. Jimmy. Since the content appears on stage, Kimmel and Trevor don't even need to sharpen their blades. Trump desired to be the main character in the epic tale of history. However, he consistently finds himself in roles that are only appropriate for blooper reels. He is likened by Kimmel to a man who orders a steak, sets the restaurant on fire, and then expects praise for saving the cow.
One very special friend, moments after we taped our show last night, the Mad Red Hatter wrote, I can't believe ABC Fake News gave Jimmy Kimmel his job back. You can't believe they gave me my job back. I can't believe we gave you your job back.
The point is, Trump sent out one of his thingies, I don't know what they're called, and it was like, Trevor Noah was never funny, Jon Stewart was only slightly better, and then like he goes on like a rant and he's just like, these people don't realize if they moved more to the center like me, they would have more followers. Then I'm like, center like you? I'm like, my man, you think you're in the...
The present that keeps coming is Trump's brilliant plan to govern the nation like a reality show. Every press briefing seems like the worst America's Got Talent audition, with the exception that the talent is juggling paradoxes and vanishing facts. Kimmel takes advantage of this and tells how the man turns a briefing into an open mic night at a comedy club that no one requested to go to. Noah goes one step farther and emphasizes how Trump's campaign pledges held up worse than milk that hasn't been refrigerated. Late-night authors all over the world started making fun of the wall that was meant to redefine security because of its delivery's blatant ineptitude, not because of resistance.
Ryder Cup over the weekend, which kind of explains this caveman-like behavior. The president has been hard at work coming up with all sorts of nonsense to distract us from the Epstein files, including, I don't know if you saw this, but he made a major announcement. I am ordering my administration to declassify and release all government records related to Amelia Earhart. Her final tip and everything else about her.
What is he going to do when he loses?
Yeah, people act like it's going to...
I'm being for real about this, by the way.
Trev,
like, I think people take for granted that guy thinks everything is a conspiracy.
Trev, you're smarter than me. Please explain this to people, because I've been trying to tell people this. It's not going to be a peaceful transfer of power. I don't think it's going to be a transfer of power at all.
I don't think
he's going anywhere.
I don't think Donald Trump does anything normally. I wouldn't be shocked if he just goes like,
Next is Trump's erratic connection with numbers, which is just as erratic as his advisor relationship. Statistics enter his talks and then disintegrate into unintelligible pieces, akin to confetti tossed by a man who has no idea what a parade is. Kimmel highlights the trend. Trump declares unprecedented accomplishments with the assurance of a pupil who has never even looked at the textbook. By demonstrating how his assertions about the economy resemble the inflated sales pitch of a man attempting to persuade you that his used car isn't missing its engine, Noah elevates the joke. Every fact check is the pin that bursts the balloon that is every boast.
More. The White House was told by ABC that his show was canceled. No, they weren't. Something happened between then and now because his audience is gone and his talent was never there. That I can't argue with. Shut the up. The freedom of speech is only for me.
Under Trump, foreign policy resembles a caricature of diplomacy. His attempt to convey authority comes across as an adolescent showing off in front of a mirror. Kimmel mocks his summit performances by drawing comparisons to awkward family get-togethers, where one uncle makes an excessive effort to be the center of attention. Trump believes that shaking hands with international leaders is equivalent to negotiating agreements. Noah explains as he sharpens the knife. He offers spectacle as an alternative to strategy. He delivers slogans rather than meaningful content. He is not the statesman that America sends out into the world. He serves as the audience's source of comic relief.
What I want to say about Eric Adams, he did one thing no other New York City mayor has ever done. He made Bill de Blasio look good. So there's talk that Mayor Adams might become our next ambassador to Saudi Arabia, which that would be good for Trump, finally, and Eric he can be proud of, representing him. As you know, over the last 10 days or so, we've been through quite an ordeal. And by we, I mean Mets fans. We have, yesterday I was wearing my Mets hat, I was wearing my Mets shirt, and wouldn't you know, the Mets went and did the Metsiest thing possible.
There is no improvement in domestic policy. Noah chuckles at the irony of Trump's pledge to clear the swamp. No water drained from the swamp. He was in charge of a posh hotel and room service. The ridiculousness of seeing a man who ran against the elites spend time playing golf with them is brought home by Kimmel. Each time he proclaimed himself to be an advocate for the working class, another billionaire ended up in his cabinet. A used car dealer would blush at this type of bait and switch. Trump, however, does so while grinning and anticipating a standing ovation.
The president. Why would they want someone back who does so poorly, who's not funny, and who puts the network in jeopardy by playing 99% positive Democrat garbage? Who puts the network in jeopardy? You hear that? There's the threat again. This time straight from FCC Biscuit's mouth. He goes, he says, I think we're going to test ABC out on this. Let's see how we do. Last time I went after them, they gave me $16 million. This one sounds even more lucrative. A true bunch of losers. Only Donald Trump would try to prove he wasn't threatening ABC by threatening.
There is, of course, the ongoing fixation with appearance. Trump's actions. Success in terms of applause volume rather than policies or outcomes. Kimmel delves into his fixation on crowd sizes, pointing out that only someone who is extremely self-conscious about their popularity would make a national tragedy into a dispute about math. Noah finds it absurd that the head of the free world spends his evenings furiously counting social media likes, like to a prom-bound adolescent. His legacy reads more like the journal of someone addicted to approval for a man who is yearning to be recognized as a historical figure. What about the controversies? There are so many controversies surrounding the presidency that the public hardly has time to digest one before the next one comes up. They refer to that as a punchline and setup. However, Tuesday is the name given to it in the Oval Office.
He's releasing the Earhart file. At least he made it to the E's in the files. That's progress. Tomorrow we release the Ebert files. We will finally get to the bottom of what happened to Siskel. Meanwhile, Vice President Maybelline was making the rounds, attempting to defend his boss and the chairman of the FCC with a new fairy tale even a 5-year-old wouldn't believe.
Celebrities are rallying to his cause, saying this is a First Amendment assault being carried out by the FCC, Brendan Carr, and by the President of the United States himself. And to that, you say?
Well, there are two things. First of all, I'd like them to tell me exactly what Brendan Carr did to have Jimmy Kimmel taken off the air, because number one, he is currently on the air, and to the extent that he isn't in certain stations, it's because he's not funny and because his ratings aren't.
His lectures are also a source of humor. Noah lashes out at his meandering delivery, likening it to someone reading a bedtime tale while continuously losing track of the main character. Noah goes on to say that Trump's speeches are like poorly translated instruction manuals. Lengthy, unclear, and completely pointless. For comedians that perform late at night, it's a goldmine. It's a pain for the nation. The distinction is that while citizens pay the cost of having to put up with it, comedians are compensated for their amusement. An additional humorous sketch is healthcare. Trump's attempt to replace and repeal ended up being a masterclass in failure. The political equivalent of promising a cake and then presenting an empty plate with sprinkles, according to Kimmel. On the stage of national well-being, it's slapstick.
Guys, at this moment, Trump, only Donald Trump, the president of the United States, the man who claims to know where technology, economies, markets, all of it is going. He gets in the car, he looks at the instrument panel and exclaims like somebody who has discovered a new world. He's like, wow, it's all computer.
So he's never been in a Tesla.
But he doesn't say it's all digital.
No, it's all computer, like your grandma.
It's all computer.
Yeah, they put computer in car.
His notorious loyalty tests follow. Trump wants cheerleaders rather than advisors. Kimmel calls the revolving door of resignations and firings the worst episode of The Apprentice ever made. And he laughs at it. Taking the joke a step further, Noah notes that anyone who dared to speak the truth was ejected more quickly than a heckler at a comedy club. Being surrounded by yes men does not make a person strong. He becomes delusional as a result. And each time one of those supporters is stung, the comedians hone their craft and remind everyone that the only thing Trump actually employs is mockery. Another catastrophe is environmental policy. Like a child storming out of a game, Trump takes America out of accords. Cannot prevail. More than truth, more than progress. Kimmel exposes the paradox of a man who strives for greatness, but stumbles over the fundamentals of leadership. Noah's irony is spot on. History laughs at Trump's inanity the more he swears he is a legend. Nations are inspired by great leaders. Punchlines are inspired by Trump. Great leaders leave a lasting legacy. Trump creates comedic sets. Every headline mentions the difference, and every late-night roast immortalizes it.
I feel sorry for the people who work for him, who try to clean up the messes. They've been bending over backwards to say, oh, he never threatened. J.D. Vance today made the claim that what the FCC chairman said was a joke, which, I don't know, maybe that was a joke? I don't know. They go to all these lengths to say, oh, it wasn't coercion. The president was just musing. And then the second Trump is alone, he sits on the toilet, he gets his grubby little thumbs on his phone, and he immediately blows their excuse.
Even his usage of social media is not immune to mockery. According to Kimmel, the worst diary in the world, where secrets are revealed rather than kept concealed. Kimmel draws attention to how ridiculous it is for a sitting president to use the virtual town square as a form of private treatment. America receives unedited pandemonium and emotional outbursts in place of policy updates. Kimmel and Noah consider it to be free material. Others see it as evidence that the nation is being led by a man who believes that governance is only one more position away from being flawless. Trump is also not safe in the economy. He enjoys painting it as his masterpiece, but comedians rip it to pieces. According to Kimmel, referring to Trump as the giving the rooster credit for the sunrise is like to praising the architect of economic success. Noah goes into further detail, demonstrating how his purported triumphs were actually the result of inherited momentum masquerading as individual genius. Kimmel ridiculed Trump as the person who believes that ignoring the fire alarm will prevent the building from burning, turning his inability to accept reality into its own punchline.
Time bragging about his $200 million ballroom again. He said it's going to be the greatest ballroom anywhere in the world. Oh, how exhilarating for all of us. He's so excited for these balls, he can taste them. Trump claims he's going to pay for some of the cost of the ballroom as a gift to us, which, thank you very much. We'll never be in it, but thank you very much. And he's already figured out where to get the money. Trump today became the first president to sue the New York Times. He's suing the New York Times for $15 billion for defamation. $15 billion. Where does he even come up? These are like numbers my children make up when they're talking about.
Noah capitalized on the irony by pointing out that a worldwide crisis turned into another stage for promoting oneself. Rather than peaceful leadership, the populace was treated to a bizarre show of denial masquerading as optimism, with disastrous results that comedians could only highlight with sour laughter. The lack of a cohesive approach turned everyday briefings into heartbreaking comedies. With all the enthusiasm of a man trying out for a part he created himself, Trump strode across the stage. However, the script was never written. According to Kimmel, the show is like improv theater put on by someone who doesn't know the rules. Noah went on to say that the improvisation wasn't a complete failure. It life in danger. What ought to have been epiphanies devolved into bizarre rants in which ego overshadowed facts. There had to be answers to the crisis. However, the nation was given a spectacle instead, and comedians profiting from the overwhelming amount of material were the only ones cheering. Satire struggled to stay up with the outrageousness of reality.
Of hope that I get from Donald Trump is that he also doesn't know what he's doing. He's in it with us, which is a nice change. Oftentimes we're at the mercy of those in power, but he's in the mercy with us. Like we're all locked in a prison cell, but he's holding the key and he's like, we're all trapped. What are we gonna do? We're like, use the key. What? What are you talking about? And the reason I say this is because Trump came out and he hosted a press conference about dropping the bombs. And he was shocked in the press conference. He came out and he's like, the United States military, that's us, launched missiles, bunker busters on Iran, on all their nuclear facilities. And boy, you don't understand. Never seen bombs like that before. And I called. I'm the one who called. I said, drop the bomb. I didn't know I was going to call. And then I was on the plane. Then I said, I'm calling. Drop the bomb. And the bomb.
In addition to the daily disasters, the long-term harm solidified Trump's position as a warning story instead of a guide. Kimmel made a joke about how he made the White House the most costly open mic night in the world, with life-threatening punchlines. By pointing out that the man who claimed to be indispensable turned out to be utterly unprepared, Noah clarified the point. The legacy that has been left behind serves as a reminder of turmoil rather than a testimony to resiliency. Trump ended up writing a farce while attempting to write his own heroic chapter. Additionally, Trump's fixation with looks only made the humor more intense as the crisis developed. His incessant demand for praise was ridiculed by Kimmel, who reminded viewers that no leader who is preoccupied with TV ratings should be entrusted with overseeing a catastrophe. Even the plans for recovery turned into comical sketches. With the bluster of a snake oil salesman, promises of miraculous recovery were made.
Trump announced the suit this morning. He wrote, today I have the great honor of bringing a $15 billion defamation and libel lawsuit against the New York Times, one of the worst and most degenerate newspapers in the history of our country. The Times has engaged in a decades-long method of lying about your favorite president, me, my family business, the America First movement, MAGA, and our nation as a whole. The New York Times has been allowed to freely lie, smear, and defame me for far too long, and that stops now.
Noah depicted the scene as a slapstick routine in which the main character repeatedly trips over his own banana peel, while Kimmel highlighted how every big announcement crumbled under the weight of reality. What was supposed to secure legacy guaranteed derision, while what was supposed to project strength only exposed fragility. Trump made exaggerations for the comedians, so they didn't have to. Kimmel noted that his speeches only needed a replay button and no punchline. Noah went one step further and claimed that the spectacle demonstrated a man who was more interested in appearance than in content. Satire exaggerating reality was not what this was. This was reality, circling parody and providing itself up on a platter for disassembly late at night. Trump was the show, and every scene was a parody, even though he believed he was directing it. And nobody will be cheering when the curtain finally comes down. They will continue to laugh at the ridiculousness that came to them on their own.